Hey Alicia, I've got a last-minute business trip next week. Would you mind taking care of the house while I'm gone? What? How long will you be away? About a week, I guess. A week? Isn't that a long time? Do you really have that much to do at work? Well, yeah. I've got my hands full. In that case, you might as well stay away forever. What do you mean? I've been holding back, but I don't get why you act so busy with a job that's not even that demanding. Most people your age are retired. Are you just clinging to your job because you're greedy for money? I'm not trying to act busy. If I've made you uncomfortable, I apologize. But I'm not clinging to my job. I work because I enjoy it. Jumping to conclusions isn't a good look. Fine, whatever. Why don't you just keep working forever then? I don't want to see a low-wage grandma around here. What? I only moved in because you said you were a single mom. I wanted to live just with Derek. And now you're telling me you're low wage? There's nothing good about this. All right, I get it. I won't come back. Just like you said. What? I decided to pack my bags and leave the house before my business trip. But I knew I'd be back. Alicia doesn't know that yet. My name is Lenora. About a year and a half ago, my son Derek called to say he had something important to discuss and was coming home. He was almost 30, so maybe he was getting married. But he'd said he wasn't interested in marriage just a year ago. Probably he needed to borrow money or something. But on the day, he arrived. He brought a lovely woman with him. We've been dating for almost a year, and we're thinking of getting married. What? Really? I was genuinely surprised. My son, who had said he wasn't interested in marriage, was now getting married. Didn't you say you weren't interested in marriage? Well, I knew I'd have to get married eventually. Then I met Alicia and knew I wanted to spend the rest of my life with her. So I proposed. I see. What do you like about Derek, Alicia? Hey, don't ask embarrassing questions. Why not? I guess he's kind? Wow, that's sweet. This is why I didn't want to tell you, Mom. You asked too many questions, like an annoying relative. Don't worry about it, Alicia. Please take good care of Derek. He might seem childish at times, but he's genuinely kind-hearted. If he ever says something that bothers you, feel free to tell me. Thank you, mother-in-law. I remember our family meetings always had a cheerful atmosphere. During one of these, Derek had a suggestion about moving in together. Mom's alone since Dad passed away, right? So I've asked Alicia if we could all live together. I know that living with your mother-in-law can be tricky, but Mom's almost 60, and I have my concerns. I think it would be easier for me if we lived together. What do you think? Well, sure. Derek was in 10th grade when my husband passed away. The cause was unclear. Maybe overwork, maybe illness. But after a long battle, he left us. Everything became irrelevant, and I was knocked down to the bottom of despair. We had always been close, hardly ever fighting. Some say relationships cool over time, but that never happened with us. Losing the man I loved so much felt like losing my will to live. How could I go on? During those dark days, Derek was my rock. Mom, how long are you going to stay down? Looking down won't bring Dad back. He's up there. So shouldn't we look up and keep moving? His words snapped me out of it, and I started living again. At 17, Derek had showed me how much he had grown. I thought of him as a child, but he was more mature than his parents. It was both happy and sad. His marriage was another milestone, and now he was even considering living together. I am really grateful that you even thought about living together. He's told me so far. So I accepted his generous offer. Little did I know this decision would take an unexpected turn. After moving in, Derek and I were both working, so weekdays were busy. Alicia was home during those times. I was worried about getting along, but then one day, I heard something shocking. One day. It was an early day at work, and I got home earlier than usual. The house was quiet, no one in the living room. But I heard voices upstairs and went to investigate. It was Alicia. She was on the phone, so I started to quietly go back downstairs. But then, a certain phrase caught my ear. He's worried about her living alone, so Derek suggested we all move in together. Can you believe it? When I casually mentioned that it might be nice for just the two of us to live together, he started talking about a two-family home. She doesn't have money, so guess who's going to foot the bill? To avoid wasting money, I reluctantly agreed to live together. Ugh, it's the worst. The person on the other end must be a friend. And the old lady she's talking about on the phone must be me. I thought she had happily agreed to live together, but it seems that's not the case. After hearing this, I can't continue living with her. But I paused to think. If I tell Derek that Alicia doesn't want to live together, wouldn't that cause a rift between them? So I thought about ending the living arrangement without giving a reason. But I couldn't find a convenient one. In the end, I decided to pretend I hadn't heard anything. But complaints from Alicia kept slipping through. I was often away from home due to work, and during those times I left the house matters to Alicia. She seemed willing, but according to her phone conversations with her friend, she felt obligated as a daughter-in-law. When my work trips increased, her complaints started to surface. She's not here again? Is mother-in-law actually working? Yes, she is. I thought maybe she was on vacation since she's gone so much. She always spoke with a sarcastic tone. I do wish she'd take care of the house if she's home. I always express my gratitude, but she seems unsatisfied. And that brings us to now. Alicia told me not to come back, so I decided to leave as she wished. There's something I've been hiding from Alicia and Derek. I said I often have work trips, but that's not true. I've been staying away to give them more time together. Lately, I've increased the frequency, making sure I'm away at least 2 days every 2 weeks. I thought this was the best way to avoid conflict, but it seems I was wrong. I've caused this situation with my decisions. So, I have a responsibility to make it right. With that in mind, I contacted Derek. We agreed to meet, and I headed to the designated location. According to Derek, Alicia told him that I didn't want to live together anymore. She can lie even in this situation. That's something.
So is it true? You don't want to live together?
I never felt that way, but it seems Alicia did.
What's going on?
I overheard her talking to a friend on the phone. She said she never wanted to live with us in the first place. She only agreed because making it a two-family home would cost more.
Really?
Yeah. I would have been fine not living together too. But Derek suggested it, and I thought it might cause a fight between you two, so I didn't bring it up.
I see.
But I get where she's coming from. Living in someone else's house isn't ideal. Everyone wants their own space.
You're right. Maybe we didn't communicate enough as a couple. I might have been too pushy with my opinions.
True. I'd like to say, let's talk it out and get along. But there's something important. Did Derek buy Alicia's red bag?
Red bag? Not sure. Why do you ask?
There's a chance Alicia might be cheating.
What? Are you kidding? Why would you think that? If this is some kind of venting, I won't stand for it.
Do you really think I'd make something like this up? I have my suspicions. Remember how I said she's always complaining on the phone? I thought she was talking to a girlfriend. But then I heard her say, "Is everything okay with your girlfriend? And come over on Wednesday when I'm home alone."
Are you serious?
I can't say for sure it's cheating, but it's worth considering.
I'll ask Alicia directly. Thanks, Mom.
Hold on. Do you think she'll just admit it? Like I said, she mentioned Wednesday. That's probably when the other guy comes over. Why not confront her then?
Good point. Tomorrow's Wednesday, and I've got the day off.
I'm off work tomorrow afternoon too. Maybe it's time to make her regret kicking me out and calling me low income. And so, Derek and I decided to put our plan into action the next day. By the way, when I asked Derek why he hadn't told Alicia about my job, he said she wouldn't understand anyway. She thought being an executive meant something like a student organization leader or a volunteer role, and assumed I didn't have much money. The next day arrived. After finishing work, I headed home and found Derek already waiting near our house. He said he saw a man we'd seen at a wedding go into our house. When we talked, it turned out that a man we'd seen at a wedding had gone into the house.
That guy was mingling with Alicia's classmates at the wedding. He was getting a little too friendly with her, and it annoyed me.
Interesting. Well, shall we go in? We entered our home. As expected, the living room was empty. In contrast, we could hear cheerful voices coming from upstairs. Voices that made it clear what was going on. Hearing this, Derek and I quietly made our way upstairs.
Man, you're something else. You managed to kick your mother-in-law out of her own house, huh? Not just any daughter-in-law can do that, you know?
Well, I guess I'm just fearless. And honestly, a mother-in-law who acts busy all the time just annoys me.
Then maybe you should have married me instead.
I thought about it, but you weren't serious about your job back then. You're a full-time employee now, but you still can't beat my husband. He makes a ton of money. I bet my mother-in-law is living off his income. Isn't that embarrassing at her age?
True. Let's keep this relationship going for a while. My current girlfriend is planning for our wedding, but she's so bossy.
Yikes. Sounds like a breakup waiting to happen.
Then I can just marry Alicia.
Derek and I were at our boiling point. There was no need to hold back any longer. We burst into the room where Alicia and her lover were. Their faces turned pale instantly.
What the hell are you two doing here?
Derek? And mother-in-law too?
Hey, weren't you supposed to be out today?
That was the plan. So I'm just as surprised.
You're the guy from the wedding. Alicia's classmate, right? I just heard your conversation outside. I'll be sure to let your fiancé know. There could be a claim for damages, so save your money. What?
Alicia, you were cheating after all. Why? Alicia, now concerned, became defiant. The reason is obvious. I've been stressed since I moved into this house, so I cheated to relieve that stress. It felt good to forget about this house, Derek, and especially you, mother-in-law. So, Derek, are you going to claim damages?
Absolutely.
Oh, really? I am a housewife, you know. I can't pay. Are you doing this because mother-in-law told you to?
She's really greedy, isn't she? Wow, you're still talking back in this situation?
Yeah, I was getting tired of trying to please a low-income old lady anyway.
You've got it all wrong.
Let me explain in terms you can understand. You think being a CEO means having a lot of money, right? Yes. Before you and Derek got married, I was the CEO of a company. What? Now I've stepped down and serve as an executive. Executives are different from regular employees. We're involved in running the company. It's a challenging but rewarding job that pays well. Wait, hold on. I knew you were an executive, but I thought that was more like a volunteer role. That's where you're wrong. I don't know how you concluded that I was low income. You should have realized I had some money when you found out I raised Derek on my own. Oh, I never hid this from you. You just didn't understand. Don't take it personally. And about not paying damages because you're a housewife, that's not going to fly. We'll find a way to get it back, like selling that red bag of yours. What? It looks expensive. We'll have other ways too. We have a very competent lawyer who'll make sure you're cornered, my dear. Ugh! Oh! And so, this chapter came to a close. Derek and Alicia got divorced. Derek claimed damages and the man's fiancée was furious, breaking off their engagement. They're both working hard now, probably for a long time, to pay off the damages. It will probably pay off over a long period of time. Derek is single again, but is eager to remarry. He told me he'll bring someone who'll cherish me next time. I'm so proud of my son. I look forward to watching Derek grow and plan to enjoy the rest of my life with a smile.